Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker. Thank you so much for joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And we're always glad to get updates from maybe the most active troop in the state, the Louisiana State Troop. We welcome back in Ross Brennan. Ross, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Oh, always a pleasure. Glad to be here.
Well, listen, I know, and everywhere I looked up, it seemed like Troop C was doing something somewhere in Thibodeau. You guys have been awfully involved in doing a lot of education here in the last month or so over at Nichols. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we had a lot of stuff going on at Nichols. So if you remember, maybe in December, around the beginning of December, they had that multi-agency meeting with a bunch of different departments that was held at Troop C. Well, there was a lot of stuff that went on and that's already taken place, but part of that was the education and outreach side of it. So we've been heavily involved at Nichols towards the beginning of January. Us, Lafourche Sheriff, Terrebonne Sheriff, Harbor Police down in Fouchon, Thibodeau Police, Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office, Wildlife and Fisheries, Berwick City Police, and also Morgan City Police, who were all at Nichols campus inside the Student Union. And basically, we were holding this multi-day safety fair, and we talked about a bunch of different topics. We talked the state police. We talked about distracted driving, impaired driving. Wildlife and Fisheries, they talked about boating safety, and other departments talked about stuff that they were seeing, like vehicle burglaries or just personal safety. So a lot of students came through there. They got to learn a lot of really good stuff. Some of the functions that we had, we actually, they call them drunk goggles. Basically, it's these goggles that you wear that kind of mimic the effects of somebody who's impaired off alcohol. So we had a bunch of different activities for them, whether walking a line or even in the quad, Assumption Sheriff, they actually had little go-karts for them to ride around on the track. So they got to learn a lot of really, really good stuff about the dangers of impaired driving, distracted driving. And then the following day, there was actually a seatbelt safety checkpoint on campus. And the whole thing was basically just to promote awareness to how important seatbelts are. Over 700 cars traveled through the safety checkpoint that we held on Nichols campus. And so there was only a handful of people that weren't wearing a seatbelt, but it allowed that education opportunity to show them, how important it is and how vital a seatbelt keeps you safe and protected in the event of a crash. And then last week, we partnered up with Kappa Sigma on Nichols campus, us, Nichols PD, and also Lafourche District Attorney's Office. We went to go talk to them, about 40 students, about, again, the dangers of impaired driving. And also the Lafourche DA, they were able to talk about the penalties as far as the convictions and law side of it. It was great, super great, informative. And, somebody said, well, it's not the Nichols students that were at fault in these crashes. Last year, they had 5 students that were killed in car crashes. And yeah, we understand that. They were Nichols students, they were the victims. But think about it, the outreach that we can have just from these few events. If we're able to give these students the tools and the education for them to see how dangerous it is to drive distracted or drive impaired, they'll be able to go and tell their friends. Maybe if they're at a party or out with a family event or a function, if there's somebody who's about to get into a vehicle who shouldn't be driving, they're going to be able to intervene and help stop that person. So they're going to be able to reach a much wider spread than what we might be able to just by ourselves.
Fantastic. Really appreciate those outreach efforts. I don't realize y'all spend so much time doing that, but y'all are doing something awfully unique here with the Upcoming Lsp Academy. Tell us a little bit about something that's kind of different now.
So for the first time ever in state police history, we're going to be offering an accelerated academy for current post-certified peace officers. So whether you're a sheriff's deputy or a police officer in the city, if you have at a minimum 2 years of armed duty experience as a certified post officer, you're going to be able to apply for this shortened accelerated academy. Unfortunately, if you are a jailer or a corrections officer and you weren't serving in like an armed type position, you're not going to be qualified for it. But basically, this academy, the end date to apply for will be March 1st. And they're hoping sometime in June to start the academy. But basically, every police department in the state of Louisiana, they have to go through a certain block of instruction that's put on by Louisiana Post. Basically, it's training that, a bare minimum training that every police department receives, just to keep it uniform. By having officers that were already received that training, you can kind of streamline that process and just kind of do more or less of like a refresher rather than going head first into it in more detail, since they already took that block of instruction. So rather than a full-blown academy, it'll be shortened by a couple of weeks. But it's a great opportunity. If anybody's right now, like I said, a minimum 2 years as an armed post-certified officer, if they're interested in joining state police, now's the opportunity. In fact, we actually have some open house dates if you want to talk to a trooper, or maybe even myself, I'll be there at Troop C, 4047 West Park in Gray on February 9th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're going to have an open house. And also on February 14th, Valentine's Day, from 11:30 a.m. to 3 p.m., we're going to have another open house. So if you have any questions, if you're a current police officer or sheriff deputy, you want to come ask questions, talk to us about retirement, different sections, different possibilities that you can have in this career, come on down and talk to us. We'll be glad to talk to you and see if you have what it takes to be a trooper.
Well, it sounds like you've got a lot of involvement, and I know that how busy Troop is, and I know that I've had some movement here, some people that are retired here recently, and some people that have moved up, and there's a lot of people kind of changing positions, so you're always kind of looking for people as we need those really quality officers, and especially those that have had some training already. Police department, sheriff's office, like you said, they've undergone some of that training. It allows you to kind of speed that up and get an accelerated training for them. And so it sounds like you're doing a really good job of taking care of them. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I'm saying it's not, don't be mistaken that it's still going to be an intense academy. That's what we're known for, having a pretty academy that mimics maybe a Marine boot camp. It's still going to be intense. You're still going to receive great training. It's just that bare minimum post training, they're going to kind of just refresh that, but we're still going to teach our own state police information that's required.
Well, we know it's only a few that can call themselves troopers, and so we're really glad to have you guys and all the training y'all do. We thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out of your very busy schedule. Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. And that's Trooper Ross Brennan with Troop C. And that'll do it for this particular segment of Bayou Time. Don't go anywhere. A lot more Bayou Time when we continue.